why don't we move into the next one? So similar, but I think this person's kind of on the other end of the spectrum. So this person wrote, I'm freaking out and this stress is giving me a heart attack. Over the last couple months, I've gone through a very bad online gambling addiction. Around my birthday, I hit a $5,000 jackpot. That's where all the trouble started, and I've been chasing it ever since. I was spending all my extra money and finally turned to credit cards to keep it going. I'd win some, pay it back, then lose even more over and over again. My credit cards are maxed out and I'm nearly $20,000 in debt. I honestly just don't make enough to make any serious dent on them and have realized that this is going to take me the next 10 years to pay it off. I'm embarrassed, guilt-ridden, and stressed the hell out for acting like an absolute idiot at 35 years old. I have a very addictive personality when it comes to things like this. Before it was alcohol and now it's gambling. What can I possibly do?
Oh gosh. Well, it's funny because whenever I heard the 5K jackpot, I was like, is this my husband? since, since he won that a few months ago. Um, you know, I get this. The first thing you're gonna have to do is stop what you're doing, obviously. You know what I mean? Like that's gonna be the first thing. But I also feel like they're going into a little of like kind of like pity party and whatever. You know, this is gonna take me the next 10 years to pay off. No, it's not. If you like actually, buckle down, stop
Mm,
gambling and trying to make a buck off of that, and go hard at your debt, you're gonna pay it off quicker than ten years. You know what I mean? But yeah, again, it sucks like the last situation. To get yourself into that and know it's your fault, but at least this person knows that they've got a lot to pay off, I guess. That's a positive.
yeah. Yeah, and I feel like what you said people don't recognize enough. It's like, all right, maybe right now the timeline says 10 years,
Yeah.
but okay, you can either look at that and be like, man, my life sucks. Like you said, pity party. I just don't know what to do about this. What can I possibly do? Or you can look at that and say, how can I speed this up? Like, what is something that I can do today that's going to make this, 9 years and 10 months? And then how can I make it 9 years and 6 months? How can I chop that off a little bit? And whether that's finding ways to increase your income, which if this is the case, this person probably has an income problem that's going to affect the other areas in their life, like building up savings or investing and things like that.
Yeah.
But also like, how can I get my expenses down? Like, is there just miscellaneous like gig work that I can do? Or are there things around the house that I can sell? Little things like that. But if you're seeing 10 years now, then you're either going to continue to see those 10 years until you're at the end of it, or you're going to find a way to make it go faster. So like you're kind of just, you're stuck there, and it's up to you which route you want to pick.
100%. And also, you're not going to be gambling anymore. So you're going to have some time where you can start a side hustle, get a part-time job, something like that, and you're going to turn your life around. So I don't know. Yeah, it's hard not to feel like you're at like the bottom, rock bottom or whatever, because this sucks. You feel like you're having a gambling addiction now. It's hard to stop. You chase the wins, and then you hit
Mm.
a bunch of losses, and then you just feel like completely just like depleted. But there's gonna be some sun at the end of this, whatever. But I just feel like, I don't know. It's just gonna take a little bit of time to see, but you actually have to like maybe get some help for your addiction. You said you have an
Yeah.
addictive personality. You can't just continue to online gamble and think that something's gonna change. Like that's gonna have to change. So whether that means, you start going to therapy or whatever, but you need to do something other than continuing to gamble, right?
Yeah, and this person said before it was alcohol, now it's this.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people think, when they're trying to find a way to cure their addiction, they think they've done it when they move from one addiction to the next one,
Yeah.
because now that old addiction isn't there anymore. But you have to recognize you have an addictive personality.
Yeah.
And so if it's not gambling, what is it going to be next?
Yeah.
So I think that's something this person has to be really cautious for. If they went from alcohol to gambling, is it going to be drugs next? Is it going to be, whatever it's going to be? But yeah, the online gambling addiction, like
Yeah.
I want to say I read somewhere that online sports betting is like the fastest growing form of gambling.
Yeah.
And I imagine one of the fastest growing addictions as well, paired with that. And like I watch a lot of basketball, and right now it's playoff season, and it blows my mind how many celebrities and like even like NBA stars, like they'll come out in a commercial promoting like
Yeah.
DraftKings or whatever those sports betting books are. And I'm like,
Mhm.
it's just such a I don't know. Like you can definitely do it, like, and it be no harm, but at the same time, like so many people ruin their lives through it that it's hard to be something. It's hard for it to be something that you actively promote, especially knowing how big it is of an industry it is. And look, I'll say I've been to Vegas a handful of times. I love playing 21 or I love playing uh, Texas Hold'em and all that. But like that's different than being like, hey, I'm going to actively promote this thing that I know people can have an addiction to.
Yeah. I honestly, like, I don't know if I have an addictive personality like this, but you're right. this person is just going to go on to the next thing, whatever that looks like for them. So I don't know. Start where you're at right now, but I think this person needs some therapy before anything else. Like honestly, because you're right, you're just going to move on to the next thing, whether that's drugs or whatever. I feel like some people get into the gym, and then that you can sort of tell. Like people go to the gym and then they get it's always like you can't do something in like moderation or just like to enjoy it. You have to like take it to the next level. You know what I mean? Whether you go into a bodybuilding show or something like that. So I don't know. I mean, the gym would be better than obviously online addiction, or online gambling addiction, but I don't know.
I feel like I'm 100% the same way. Like when I
Yeah.
get into something, I want to fully get into it. I hate being like halfway in, and I'm sure that that's could lead down the road of like negative things as well. But like, if this person finds that they can get addicted to something, cool, get addicted to figuring out how do I get this debt number to go down? Like I want to see that number get as low as possible, or my timeline get as short as possible. But yeah, the pity party, that part I think is something that really you got to fix first if you want to actually get out of this. Like you can't just sit here and like wallow in your own depression and be like, I'm never going to get out of here, because you never will then. Like you have to be able to say, all right, I fucked up. What am I going to do about it next?
Yeah. So it seems like the theme so far is like accountability, holding yourself responsible. Like, I don't know. The information, opinions, and recommendations provided on this podcast are for entertainment purposes only and do not constitute professional financial advice. Any financial decisions you make based on the content of this podcast are your responsibility. We strongly recommend consulting with a licensed financial advisor or other qualified professional before making any significant financial decisions. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge that we are not liable for any financial outcomes.